Okay, hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to ArchiHacks, and today we have another exciting portfolio review. Now, we got this portfolio from Daniil. This portfolio goes to show you don't need to have a lot of projects to make an awesome portfolio. If you're just starting your architectural career, take a look at this portfolio and see what you can learn from it. If you would like to get a free or private portfolio review for yourself, follow the link in the description to learn more. So starting off really strong, we have this awesome square format page that starts off with this cross in the middle. I like how this is a very geometrical shape, but it is also drawn with some sort of brush texture. So that's really cool. Cover page has to be something that is really interesting to draw attention from the readers. And this is the first chance you have to make something very interesting and impressionable. So if you're lost on this, try going for something really simple like this, but with a small twist. So Daniil is a fourth year student in an undergrad study, and the projects that you'll be seeing are done in the last 2 years. Right off the bat, another quick tip is that you don't need to include all your projects. Select just the few that are most recent and the best showcase of your skill set. There's really no need to show you, work from like your high school or your first year. No matter who you are, they're gonna be bad. And the skill set that you will be selling is not from that era. So do yourself and your employer and your grad school a favor by picking out the best work you've done or rework your work so that you're showcasing your latest and greatest skill set. Just off the first 2 pages, we're off to a really great start, getting a really good impression for this guy. So let's move on to the next page. Now, another fun thing that is happening here is there's this echo of the cross shape from the cover page. The projects are arranged in this quadrant diamond shape format, and the projects are also reflected in these little items on the left. So the first project, the grain, has this little wheat symbol over here. Also the little grains arranged in the shape of the footprint of the building. The next project has a lot to do with the slate extraction and construction. So that item is displayed here, and so on and so forth. So this is a really creative way to showcase your project. So I strongly recommend you, if you have time to refine your portfolio, think about ways to spice up your table of contents. This will act as another item that'll draw readers into your portfolio and keep them reading. So that will be something I'll be talking about more in the later parts of the portfolio. So let's move on. And actually, before I do that, I just want to mention that all these little texts, the title of the projects, are hyperlinked to the correct pages. This is a nice little touch you can do if you have the time to spare and also want to finesse your portfolio. If you would like to learn how to do that, make sure to leave a comment in the description and I'll compile all the InDesign tips and tricks and create another video just for that. Okay, so let's move on to the first project. So full bleed page is something that I really enjoy seeing in portfolio. Really gives you the cinematic feeling, really puts the readers into the scene and make them feel immersed. So that's really awesome. And you get this high quality render that is not grainy and also shows a lot of detail. This of course takes a lot of effort to do. So this really goes to show that Daniil is a hardworking individual and also has a great sense of style. So that's really great. And if you look closely, there are actually so many great things going on here. You can see that the vegetations are randomized pretty well, or like there's some sort of landscape design going on. And if you look at individual unit, the furnitures are customized to a certain degree. So if you see, this chair is not repeated anywhere else, and the lightings are placed in each individual units and creates this very organic and natural look. Another quick thing, really cool thing that's happening in the bottom left corner over here is that he is overlaying his rendering on top of a photograph that has some kind of boat or yacht, and he also has a rendered version of it in the foreground, making the render blend seamlessly into the background. So throughout Daniil's portfolio, you will notice that he doesn't have a whole lot of drawings, but each individual drawing is really high quality. So for example, in this spread right over here on the bottom side, there's this panoramic aerial view of his project and the project site. I know if we just pass over this and say like, okay, that's a really cool picture, he did a great job. But if you think about it, the easy way, like 90% of students would have taken here, is just take that Google Earth screenshot and just Photoshop your building on top of it. That could have been it. That would have been like, 10-minute job. And that would have been, it works, there's nothing wrong with it, frankly. But look at what he did. He went through and traced over every single building, trees, like monuments and bridges and infrastructure. He took the time to map out every single one of them. Now, that just to, turn your aerial view into a line drawing that fits your style, I think that's dedication. And in terms of narrative, like sequencing, that is also excellent. He follows a very standardized process that I always preach, which is to start with a concept in the beginning and then go into detail from there on. So for example, in the top right corner over here, he shows how his geometry is inspired by the grain industry that used to be on site. Now, zooming slightly more into the building project, we're looking at the site plan as well as the floor plans. In terms of the narrative, we're pretty much on track so far. The site plan has a nice subtle watercolor texture going on, and the vegetations are colored in with a consistent theme from the beginning of the portfolio. And the same color scheme also carries out into the floor plan as well. And there are little technical marks that are also exactly on point as well. So as you can see, there are these section lines shown in the floor plan, which corresponds to the actual perspective sections that you'll see in the following page. It sort of goes to show that you're not only good at creating these like pretty pictures, but also has the technical capacity to work at a professional level. So that's really good. Now, one crucial item I would like to add to these plans is the scale bar. Now, these are basic things, but it really shows the professionalism for your work. And these will be some of the things that make your drawings look a lot more complete without having to put in too much extra effort. It's one of those small things that are really easy to forget. So I created a checklist you can go through when you're creating your portfolio so that you don't miss out on small things like this. You can download this for free in the link in the description. And I feel like this project probably had a very strong project restriction. So a lot of the units are very conventional, they're very boxy, but he did not forget to add some kind of interesting flair to the design. So for example, in the ground level, there are these like arches that are inspired by grains and like grain stalks. And I think that translated quite well into this interesting structure. Now, if I were to add small nit to it, maybe I would have made the colors a little bit more brown, goldish to kind of create that effect of like a golden wheat field. But you know, it's honestly very small nit. Everything else is done really well. So this is awesome. Okay, moving on to the next project. Now again, love seeing this full bleed image in the beginning of each project to make the readers almost teleport into the scene. So I feel like I'm really jumping into the scenery over here. And there's this nice depth of field going on. And you can kind of already get a sense of what this project is going to be all about. It's going to be this very minimal intervention in this scenic location. The building is nicely integrated into the landscape. And natural elements like this little bird and like stone and grass, we will get into more details in the next page. But you know, this really gives off a really good intrigue into the project and gets the reader going. So that's something I want you to think about when you're creating your own portfolio as well. And think about the devices that Daniel is using to create that effect. Okay, moving on to the beginning of the project. As per the usual, following this very conventional but strong narrative style where you start from outside in, start with the little concept of integrating the old and the new and thought process. Now, from the surface level, what I understand about this project is pretty interesting. There is this existing structure, which is a ferryman's office, but they're going to be adding some kind of new modern addition to it. Now, Daniel's approach is to keep most of the original structure and attach, you know, newer geometric parts on top of it, almost like a parasitic architecture. And you will see the dichotomy between man-made versus nature, old and the new, continuously throughout the project. And there's a very clever layout technique he's using to make that point really visible. So we'll get to that in just a little bit, but before we go to the next page, let's take a look at the white spacing over here. As you can see, there's a significant gap between the two elements in the middle of the page over here. And the white space between the edge of the page all the way to the actual text is actually not that big. So this creates an uncomfortable layout setting. So what I would recommend is bring the text and the diagram a little bit closer to the center so that everything looks more cohesive and put together. Now, moving on to the actual, the meat of the project, there's this very clear diagram on the left that shows the evolution of the site over the course of this timeline. So we start off with this like untouched, pristine landscape, which gets hacked and like excavated in order to, extract resources. And then over time, after the extraction has completed, the town has been abandoned, nature overtakes that part again. Now, that concept strangely, echoes into the rendering on the right over here. You can see the fisherman's office that used to be there in this stone texture. It obviously has that very conventional pitched roof profile, made of this very rustic material, has a very small opening due to the limited span, but it gets extended into this glass corridor into a very geometric and modern looking structure, which also works as a foundation which the grass can grow on top of. And that seems to echo the original grass that actually used to be on site. So there's this like circle of life happening in this single image. So the diagram and the rendering are complementing each other and reinforcing each other's point. So creating this like dichotomous layout, so the left and right, really works in favor in this particular case. So if you have a project where you want to compare and comparison between like two different things, first thing you should think about is like creating a layout that has this very clear reflection point. So in this case, the visuals are divided between left and right, and you'll see that this layout gets used over and over again because the theme of the project really corresponds to it. So let's look at this particular spread over here. If you look at this floor plan, the building is divided into two parts to create the comparison between the old and the new, and same thing goes for the renders on the right. If you look at the rendering on the left one over here, you can see that the modern structure allows for this very clear span into the glazing that is like, structure free at the corner, which was like pretty much impossible until very recently. So this shows that, the latest construction technology allows for this very particular look, very open floor plan and a very minimal look. And on the right over here, you can see that the glazing is very small, framing a very particular object in the scene like that. And also is very utilitarian, like everything is very crammed, but also very functional. So you can see how like the existing structure affects the actual experience in the building. And the layout wise, they're placed next to each other to create this comparison effect. So especially for project that involves, historical artifacts that you have to renew or like somehow intervene, I strongly recommend first thinking about creating a divided layout where you can compare the old and the new and then go on from there. Of course, there's no right or wrong answer in portfolio making and panel layouts, but this can be like a really great starting point when you're sort of lost. Okay, moving on to the next project. This is a third one. Now, similar to the other ones, there are some really interesting things going on. There are always a theme about this background, foreground, and midground happening in each of these renders. As you can see, there is this old Soviet structure in the back, and in the front there are some new interventions. And you can see that there's this very modern facade element interfacing directly into this very old brick building. So we can already anticipate some kind of dialogue between the old and the new in this project as well. So another thing that I think he's doing really well is that the facade element is very interesting, stands out a lot and makes you wonder, like why is it like that? And like where does this design language come from? This is another point where the readers get hooked into reading this portfolio. So take a moment to think about what is interesting about your project, something that might intrigue the readers and the visitors of your space. Try to integrate that into your first rendering. And that question about the facade gets answered right away. One thing that is very important in this location is Morse code because of maritime heritage of this site. And you can see how the Morse code translates into this very binary design language. And that is sort of like the starting point through which every design decision is made, starting from like a very macroscopic decision all the way into the tiniest details, as you will be seeing in the subsequent pages. So first off, the big picture. How does this dichotomous binary design language gets reflected in the massing scale, right? So we're working with some existing buildings on site, and that becomes the void. And then the new interventions that are filling in are going to be, let's say, the positive side of it. And as a designer who wants to create the most amount of contrast between the two, there won't be any mitigation done to the old structure. And for the new addition, it's going to look as different as possible from the old one. And that idea of creating this contrast is visible through this simple diagram at the bottom, where we start off with this black blocks representing the old buildings and the white blocks representing the new addition. And you can see how this design language translates into the site on the right over here. And following that very conventional narrative style of zooming in, we're going into the axonometrics view of the building over here. And you get to see the courtyard that connects the visitors from outside to inside. So this is like the middle ground. And moving on to the next one, you can see that the perspective has moved into the interior of the building. and the drawings on the left are showing what's actually inside the building as well. So this narrative structure is very natural and easy for readers to understand. So strongly recommend arranging your visuals in this order. And again, you can see that there aren't that many renderings, like, let's say like 2 to 3 tops, but each and every single one of them is very high quality. Let's look at this courtyard rendering. You can see that there's this nice texture applied to every single material. There's this proper randomization in the tile. The concrete wall has this nice, rivet details, and the glass texture looks great, and the people are placed very well. You don't even have to place a lot of people. Just a few well-placed people is enough to sell your rendering. And I think this is a really great example of that. And of course, the base model has to have a really great detail as well. So as you can see, the mullions are all modeled out. And if you look closely, the door is also modeled out as well. The door handle is there, and the little metal panels at the top and bottom are placed there. So like these little details, I think, are the key elements that sell your render. So if you feel like something is off about your render, maybe think about some things that like break the illusion about the rendering and try to add an element back in within the model. And same thing goes for this floor plan. Textures are getting a lot more soft. There's this exposed concrete structure, a nice terrazzo floor looking really great. And there's only one person in the scene. So again, you don't need a lot of people, just a few really well-placed people is all you need. And moving on to the last page for this project, we're really zooming into the metal panel, which is a very key element of this project. And you can see that even though the patterns look very random, Daniel is showing that there are few prefabricated panels that are rotated and then placed in a random way to create this random effect. So not only does he show that he has this very interesting idea, he knows how to execute them, present them, and also do it in a very pragmatic way. So I think this was a very complete project. Really appreciate this one. And one thing I did notice about his portfolio is that there's almost zero physical material so far. There has been some hand sketches, so there's some connection to the physical world, but a lot of them has been very digital. And I believe that is why there's this fourth project, which doesn't seem very architectural, but it does showcase that he is crafty with his hands and he's able to do some woodwork. I would have definitely preferred if this was more architectural, but I think it definitely adds, that missing piece. So I understand why Daniel had to place this here. So overall, this was a really great portfolio that really showcases Daniel's character, really shows the best side of his work and work ethic. So I think it really serves that purpose. Again, some of the takeaways I've mentioned before are you don't need to have a lot of projects, just a few very high quality ones, and curate your narrative in such a way that it's easy for readers to understand. And last but not least, having a few high quality images is a lot better than having a whole bunch of low quality images. So if you have like a couple hours you want to set aside to really enhance your project, just choose one really important image and try spending time on upgrading that one and see how that goes. And again, if you would like your portfolio reviewed, check out the link in the description to get your portfolio review. And I will be making more videos like this. So if you like this kind of video, hit the like and subscribe so you can see more like this. And also let me know in the comments if you would like to see InDesign tips and tricks like I mentioned before, or any other videos you would like to see in the future. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time.